Hey, everybody, look at us now. We are joined by our good friend Brad this week in Double Take because,
Triple take.
yeah, today today it's a double take, triple take.
Go.
So strap in and get
And why was
comfy
it because? Why am I here? You're going to say,
because
We
we
love you.
watched Sword in the Stone.
Yes.
And we know Brad is a fan of that. So he
My
wanted to
favorite-
hop in on that.
yeah, my favorite animated Disney film of all time.
Really, of
Okay.
all time.
Yeah, animated. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe nostalgia had something to do with that, but
Mhm.
yeah, even rewatching it Saturday, my wife and I were like, we loved it.
Yeah.
Did your
It's not
parents force
perfect.
you to watch it? Is that why?
What's that?
I said, did your parents force you to watch it on repeat?
No. I think it was because it's technically one of Disney's like B tier.
Yeah.
Wasn't one of their main like kind of focal points. It's weird in a way, but I also felt like there was
What's up, Cinco?
there was actually like structure to it where Alice in Wonderland really has none and everyone's just mean. And also, that squirrel was pretty cute. No, I have no idea. My first animated crush was the squirrel. I felt so
That
bad
was
for
Arthur,
her when,
I'm just kidding.
no, when he like reverted back to being just a regular,
Just a
regular old
human
wart.
boy.
Yeah, I felt so bad for her. I was like, oh, poor thing. But
I
anyway,
actually told my wife that exact thing. I was like, that's like the saddest part of the movie to me
Mhm.
when he reverts back to a human. Like they captured that really, really, really well. I thought they did a good job on that.
Yeah.
So, Brad, what do you give your overall score for this?
Oh man, that's hard because I think I gave Alice in Wonderland like a 2 out of 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably give this one like a,
At
if
least
I took
double.
my like goggles off, like my kid goggles, and just watched it now, I don't know that I would give it the same rating, but I'm just gonna rate
Yeah.
it like a 8.5 for me.
Yeah.
I will say though, like the remastered wise, we watched it on Disney Plus,
Mhm.
and even though it's in like 4K and Dolby Vision, they put nowhere near the effort in that they did with Alice in Wonderland, because Alice in
for
Wonderland,
sure.
Well, they couldn't.
right?
They couldn't. They used two different methods to make
True. But they also like, and I'll get into kind of more technical things after you guys kind of give your opinion. I don't want to like just front load the whole thing with Brad's here, let him talk, So yeah, I loved it. I think it holds up extremely well. I would like to see them actually spend the time and money to do a proper full remaster in a
Mhm.
similar fashion, not the exact same fashion, obviously, as Alice in Wonderland, but I get that it's not their main line. It's
Yeah.
considered kind of like a black sheep of the. I don't want to say a black sheep, but like it
I read something that this one is considered like the middle child, where
It's the
yeah,
lowest budgeted
yeah.
primary Disney animation film that they ever made.
yeah. So Derek or Elon, whoever wants to take this, what I know in our text chain, you guys, one of you said, I have some thoughts. So
Mhm.
I want to know your thoughts, and if they're incorrect, I will let you know.
Yeah, you go,
Do you want to
Derek.
go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So my general thought, I will preface this. Don't jump to conclusions before I finish my statement. My general thought is that this film is worse than Alice in Wonderland in nearly every way for me. However, I will say not by too much.
Yeah.
Not by too much. I would give it a 6.8 out of 10. I think I gave Alice in Wonderland like a high 7. And a lot of that honestly just boils down to the fact that I feel like, kind of like you're saying, it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild, which unfortunately for the people making it, like, was not ideal. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen this book, but I brought it because this is one of my favorite books. Is The Illusion of Life, and it's written by two of the animators that worked on Sword of the Stone and a bunch
Oh.
of the Disney animated movies from this time period.
Yeah.
And basically, Sword in the Stone is the result of Roy Disney trying to close down Disney Animation Studios completely. So Walt Disney was still alive at the time, and Disneyland was their like primary focus at the time. They had done a couple of the live action movies, so you got Mary Poppins and stuff kind of around the same time period. And Sword in the Stone was basically the last movie that they planned to make for Disney Animation Studios, and it actually came down to two different films. And I don't know if this speaks at all to, you know, kind of where the movie ended up. None of the animators wanted to work on Sword of the Stone. The guy who wrote it, Bill Peet, was an animator at Disney, but also was a writer who adapted a lot of their stories into films. And it was actually the last movie that Bill Peet ended up working on also. But none of the animators wanted to work on it. They all wanted to work on this other film that essentially was based on a French play about a rooster who thought that his individual crowing was what brought the sun up in the morning, and was kind of like a Pixar-esque, you know, adventure down the rabbit hole. And none of the animators wanted to work it. So Disney basically was like, okay, Bill, you do a pitch and you guys do a pitch, and they let both of them kind of run to do some pre-production on the movie. And then when it came down to it, they ended up making Sword in the Stone because it was the cheaper of the two. And the reason why it was so much significantly cheaper than the other film was because this is the first movie that started Disney's they call it the Xerox era. And basically, the reason why, Brad, I don't think you'll ever get a remaster of Sword in the Stone as good as Alice in Wonderland is because Alice in Wonderland, the process for production, and they talk about it in this Illusion of Life book, the process for it was that they would do pencil sketches of the whole movie. They did essentially pencil tests of each scene that they animated. And then they would take those penciled frames, and animators would come in, inkers actually would come in, put the pencil version underneath the animation cell, and they do like a high quality painted version of each one of those cells. And then the colorists would come in and color it. The Xerox era animation, which includes Sword in the Stone, Jungle Book, Robin Hood, and some of those things, they literally took the pencil sketches, put them into a Xerox with and I mean branded Xerox, put the empty cells into the other side of the Xerox, and they literally took the pencil sketches and it got Xeroxed onto the animated cells, which is why in Sword in the Stone, I think it's especially obvious. Robin Hood to a point, Jungle Book, there's still some of that, but you can actually see their construction lines, like the shapes that they use to make the heads and stuff like that.
You can see that.
Yeah, they just didn't get erased. They didn't get erased because it was literally the pencil sketches Xerox onto it. And then they colored behind the pencil sketches. So that's why, like in Alice in Wonderland, you have the nice solid outlines that aren't pure black.
Right.
They're like colored versions of the outlines and things like that, where Sword in the Stone is pure black because it's pencil that they then bumped the contrast up, and then they painted underneath the pencil sketches to kind of get that look. Even same thing for the backgrounds. The backgrounds in Sword in the Stone are the rough versions of the backgrounds that they then just kind of put underneath it. A couple of them are actually reused from Cinderella and from some of the other older Disney movies, that they just kind of pan around the scene in the background to get a different position of things. So animation wise, it's not as good in my opinion. It's not as clear. And the thing that's sad to me is that this, out of all the movies, The Legend of King Arthur is the one that fits that storybook aesthetic to me the most, which to me feels like it should have been like priority number one to get it to look more like Alice in Wonderland or even Beauty and the Beast. Like I kind of think about modern Disney and Beauty and the Beast and how it's like that storybook at the beginning. This would have been perfect for that. It deserved to be a little cleaner. And because they don't have that, and now the negatives, because it was Xeroxed onto the cells, and then that's what was created for the actual negatives, it's never going to get better. If they did, they're at that point changing the character of the film. And then on top of that, the colors don't pop as much in a lot of the scenes because of the layering process that they had to use with the pencils on top of it. You kind of get like this dimmer version just because, it's not that much distance from the camera, but they use like a multi-plane camera to film this stuff so they can move the backgrounds around. And that distance makes the backgrounds and stuff darker as opposed to some of the other stuff. So even the colors are a little bit more muted, which, they can fix now in post or whatever. But it's never going to get to the same level as the stuff like Alice in Wonderland and some of those other ones. I don't really get the story. Like, none of the story is required to get Arthur to get to the sword and to pull it at the end. So it's kind of like story-wise, there's not really like a main antagonist or even, any antagonism towards Arthur that's preventing him from becoming it. Like I feel like the story of King Arthur, and especially the Sword and the Stone. I know the other thing about this is that Disney wrote, or Bill Peet wrote, Sword in the Stone based off of the initial version of the story, and the author of the story actually changed it considerably afterwards. So it started off as a short story for children and then turned into like a quadrilogy or like a 6-book story. And after the other books came out, he went back and edited and changed Sword in the Stone to make it darker to fit in with the other themes that he was going for. And Disney wrote it based off of that first version. So a lot of the stuff that we know about the story of King Arthur and everything, Disney didn't really have that. Like, actually, Robin Hood is in the original story of Sword in the Stone. So it's like the fact that he doesn't even make it into the movie, you can tell that Disney kind of like had to work around that a little bit. And like I said, I just think it's telling that none of the animators wanted to work on it. It's the writer's last movie. It's the cheapest Disney movie that they really ever made in that animated era of Xeroxing or whatever. And honestly, that's part of the reason why it was so cheap, is because they didn't need the hand animators and the inkers and colors to do a lot of the stuff that they normally would have done. So I don't think it's a bad movie necessarily. It just got let down in a bunch of different ways. And I hate to say it, but when, it's money, if you want to know why something is the way it is in our modern times, the answer is usually money, and unfortunately that also seems to be the case with Sword in the Stone. So that's me. So I give it like I said, 6.7, 6.8. It's not a terrible movie by any means. I love we used to have the Disney sing-along tapes. And so the song when they're going through not the wizard's duel, but the fish story, stop and go to and fro. I knew like that whole scene verbatim, from memory. I'd seen it on the sing along so many times. And that is probably, I think, the most fun part of the movie. I just wish it had more of a point to it, Story and pacing are just kind of weird because it just feels like it doesn't really lead anywhere.
That was my takeaway, because I remember like again, I probably haven't seen this since I was a kid. So it has been a long time, and that was one of the things that struck me as I was watching it, was like, this is just kind of like hanging out with Merlin. Like that's pretty much what this pretty much what, because
I would love to hang out with Merlin.
Because again, like when I was a kid, I was so enthralled with the fact that he got to turn into so many different animals, the fish and the bird and the that was really cool, because obviously Disney is going to throw in animals to some degree because that's just what they do.
And then reuse them in future movies.
Yes.
And the background.
Mowgli and the wolves.
Reuse backgrounds too.
So like it was the story and the structure behind the story, I was just a little put off by that. I was just kind of like, it's the fact that it, like why have it be the sword and the stone? Why couldn't it be just kind of this its own kind of separate story that doesn't have anything to do with medieval times? Or well, I guess medieval times, sure, because then you can have Merlin. But everything else, and yeah, it's like you kind of establish the sword and the stone at the beginning, and then you establish it again at the end. But all that stuff in between, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, it's just hanging out with Merlin and having him change you into different animals and seeing what it's like to be those different animals.
Did you like
But
Merlin? Do you like Merlin as a character?
I mean, for the most part, I mean,
Okay.
it just seemed like he was like this kind of kooky, crazy uncle character who just wants to have fun with his nephew, kind of thing. Even
So
though that's not their actual biological relationship
yeah,
in the movie, but
yeah, clearly, otherwise Merlin would be the king of England.
yeah,
Marvin.
Yeah,
Marvin.
Marvin. Actually, fun
Yeah.
fact, the reason I asked that is because Bill Pete, he actually got into like a huge fight with Walt Disney, and Merlin is based off of Disney.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he has Walt's nose, apparently.
Yeah, he has Walt's nose, the glasses, and he's supposed to be an old curmudgeon that quote unquote nobody likes. And I did not get that sense at all. I actually thought Merlin was awesome. I would love to hang out with Merlin.
Yeah.
It just seems like it would be a fun thing. And I think one of the things that's missing from this that's in the original story is that Merlin, I mean, they kind of mention it, but in this movie, it seems more like Merlin is like a time traveler. In the original story, Merlin ages backwards. So he ages backwards through time. So Merlin grew up in the future, and that's why he's mentioning all this stuff that he like remembers, you know, like the locomotives and the trains and all the airplanes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's stuff from his childhood, quote unquote, that he's reminiscing on. And to me, in this movie, it just seemed like he was like a time traveler, which is cooler in my opinion, but less quirky and explains a little less than what the original story would have explained.
I mean, yeah, because when he comes back and he's got all that, like, you know,
Bermuda
Hawaiian shirt and, you know, like that kind of stuff on. So yeah, I could see that he is actually a time traveler. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed just like, I guess trying to put myself in Arthur's shoes, of turning into these different animals and experiencing what it's like to be those animals. That was cool, and obviously that was really cool when I was a kid. To be able to do that would have been a dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at it through adult eyes now, yeah, it just seemed kind of disjointed, and I just didn't understand why they included the whole stuff behind the sword and the stone. Again, I think it could have been just like a cool kind of one-off side story set in medieval times with Merlin, with Arthur, just kind of doing their own thing. But it just kind of, yeah, to me, it seemed a little just kind of out of left field that he's like, oh, now let's go try and get this sword out of the stone because I forgot to grab a sword for my brother who's, you know, participating in these knights games or whatever.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'd probably give it like a 5
out of 10, just
yeah,
even 5. I haven't actually thought about that because during the movie they could have like something could have happened to the sword, to whatever the brother's name is, his sword, but at the end it's just like he just forgot it. You know, like it could it could have been ruined or damaged or melted down, you know, all the magic stuff could have happened, but no. So literally the movie could have happened without any of the Merlin stuff at all, because Arthur was already going to that competition with his brother at the end. He forgot the sword at home, and like, you know, almost the whole movie could have happened without him. Going back to what we were talking about with like the Indiana Jones thing or whatever it was from last time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, and like the whole squirrel thing, the squirrels scene with the female squirrel coming on to Arthur. Pretty strong.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. Watching it a couple days ago, it was a little cringe to me to have to
I don't
see
know, man. I was
this
pretty into it.
to see this squirrel coming on to him that much.
That's why Brad has a furry obsession now. He's got a furry king because anybody dresses up in that squirrel costume. It's like,
listen, you know, we don't go on that floor, okay, during Dragon Con. We don't go to the furry floor for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was actually, so I know that this podcast is all about physical media and stuff, but I have to say that all versions of the Blu-ray are terrible.
I agree.
Yeah.
Terrible. So the 60th anniversary edition, which I think is probably what you bought, Derek, because it's not on 4K Blu-ray, in case anyone's out there wondering.
Right.
They're all scrubbed of all detail with digital noise reduction to like an extreme degree, to the point that if someone's like, oh, I want to support physical media, I'm going to buy this, I would say, don't buy something else. Go ahead and go buy something else, only because I was trying to find this online while you guys were talking. I specifically remember when it was released on Disney Plus in 4K and they were talking about the remaster, that it was that same transfer that they just kind of like upscaled. And like literally like there are lines that go missing because of of how intense they dialed the digital noise reduction up on it. And everything looks it doesn't look good like at all. And you really start to lose like, because we watched it on Disney Plus, so it was like, you know, they have now updated it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to say that the HDR in it is like great. Probably has a slightly wider color gamut. But other than that, it does look very detailed in scenes, but also to a point where you could see clearly the pencil lines and everything.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you say that, because this is on the back of the disc. It says digital restoration. I think it's behind or whatever. When I first saw that, I genuinely didn't know which one was supposed to be the better of the two. Because look at how much. I think it's supposed to be the one on the right.
Red. Yeah, we took this red and turned it into blue. I'm like, how's that a remaster? You just changed
all the detail. Look at all the detail in that background. I mean, you can't really see it from here, but there's so much detail that is lost in that background plate from that process.
So you watched it on Blu-ray though, right, Derek?
Yeah.
Okay, so did it fill your screen? That was my other question.
Ooh.
Because the original,
I didn't notice.
Yeah, the original aspect ratio of it is actually like I think it's like 143 or 166. Like it
like almost square.
Like, pillar bars on the side.
Yeah.
This is 175. So
so it filled your entire screen. So it's technically cropped, but it was also like that in the theater originally, I believe. And they just opened the mats on the bottom, so you do get more info at the top and bottom. But
actually, that makes sense too. There's an interview with Bill Pete where he talks about some of this stuff. And again, the history of this is like really interesting to me. They actually had planned for this movie originally to just be a TV release. Like that's how much Roy Disney wanted to spin down Disney Animation Studios. He did not want to do any of that stuff. So I wonder if that's like an artifact of that, is that they originally had intended to release it on TV screens, and then they were like, no, this is still getting a theatrical release. And so then the theatrical release just kind of cut down the top and bottom to make it that widescreen theater presentation. And so then for the Blu-ray or whatever, they did the opposite of that. They kind of opened it back up a little bit.
Yeah, I really thought, I mean, the image looked like fine. Like I didn't have a problem watching it. There were certain times, I'm talking about the Disney Plus stream, just so we're clear. Because I it would be one of those instances where like if I had the Blu-ray, I would have put it in. Nope. And then went to Disney Plus to watch it, which is rare. You know, these like rare for me. I'm actually I have like a YouTube video pulled up of literally a comparison between the two, and it's like, yeah,
so it
you
is
lose
in 4K on Disney Plus.
Yeah, 4K and Dolby Vision.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I'll send you guys this link to the comparison. It's just literally just, you know, screenshots of scenes and stuff. You could see the difference.
I got this for $6 or $7. It was like $6.99 or whatever, and I actually paid for expedited shipping to get it here on time because the last like 3 regular Blu-rays that I've ordered have not gotten here in time. And honestly, I don't even understand the extras on here either. There's like a Goofy short, Night for a Day with Goofy, and then Brave Little Tailor, which is an old Mickey Mouse short. And I don't, literally the 2 like related special features are only on the DVD that comes in this version. And it was, oh no, I guess maybe not, because there's a Music Magic, which is about the music in the movie, which is not even that movie. And actually I read some stuff that the Sherman brothers who did the music in this were kind of pissed because they were asked to create the songs outside of the rest of the production of the movie, and so they were upset that the score doesn't match their songs in any way. There's no like motifs that go throughout the movie. And then there's an alternate opening, which is just the storyboard of the original opening to the movie. Merlin meets Arthur right at the very beginning when they're first out in the field or whatever. And that was not really a surprise to me because the Illusion of Life has the original storyboards from the movie, so you can see that. The only thing that the Blu-ray kind of adds to that is that there is a narration over the storyboards, and the storyboards are kind of like animated, so it's more like an animatic than just regular storyboards. But otherwise, the only other special feature is literally a sing-along with the movie, which is just from, I'm guessing, the Disney sing-alongs, which is just the little bouncing ball anytime one of the songs is on screen. And it literally is from the Disney sing-along songs VHS, you know, so they probably took those plates or whatever and put them back in there. I don't know that I would recommend somebody buying this unless they're like a really, really huge fan of this movie. Because I was pretty disappointed. There's no commentaries. There's no like film making. The DVD actually does have, which is weird because it's not on the Blu-ray, but there's like a facts about the production thing. And it's literally just like 8 or 9 slides of text where they talk about how the creation of the movie happened. And that's it.
Yeah.
Really disappointing.
Yeah, for sure. Like I gotta say, you know, immediately the music, the songs to me, I mean, the Sherman brothers to me are kind of unmatched in their ability to just, you know, it's them. It's kind of like when you listen to, I don't know, like your favorite film composer, John Williams, Danny Elfman, Thomas Newman, you know, it's them. And
Trent Reznor,
Atticus Ross, you know, but no, you immediately, like I could tell they wrote the songs, even though they're in the credits. I was like, oh, of course. I've always been a really big fan of them because growing up, I didn't know who wrote all these songs, right? Like It's a Small World and you know, the Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, all this stuff, but also basically from I can't even remember the dates, but like from a certain time period, they wrote all the Disney stuff. I mean, they're just iconic. And that was one thing that I thought, to me, if I had to compare it directly to Alice in Wonderland, I thought the songs were like leaps and bounds ahead of the songs in Alice in Wonderland. Just my opinion, just from like a musical perspective. I just think that the Sherman brothers were on a different wavelength than.
I think I would agree with that for some of the songs, but not for the songs overall, because I think like you know, the To and Fro song, the ones that they did on the sing-alongs, those are like super catchy, they're super memorable. And then the other songs, and especially like the score, is to me like completely unmemorable, whereas Alice in Wonderland, like even Painting the Roses Red is like a little bop. But otherwise I agree.
Yeah,
I think,
and I never knew this growing up either, obviously, but 3 different voice actors played Arthur.
yeah, Arthur.
And once you know that, you can hear it throughout the entire
I thought it was
movie.
obvious when we watched it. There's like a couple scenes where he literally goes into like an adult voice.
Yep.
It's like a grown-ass man going like
and I think I counted 5 or 6 times, and anytime he would lose his footing or whatever, he goes, whoa. It was literally just a recycled same
right
over again. And I was like, my wife and I were watching it, and it would happen. I'm like, that's number 4. Oh, there's number 5. There's a scene in the end where he says something like Merlin or whatever in like the kind of like after he becomes king, and it literally mid sentence switches between one voice actor and another, and he goes from like this young, prepubescent boy to like Merlin. Not that degree, but it was just a stark contrast. I'm like, whoa, yeah.
I've noticed in the chat somebody put that the title in French is Merlin the Wizard, which, to your point, Elon, would make a lot more sense for the movie.
Yeah,
my adventures with Merlin.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
It always made me want to. This movie always made me want to. I wondered what it was like to be a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I always thought that was really cool. It's so funny because sometimes, growing up or even now, like my sister and I will be on the phone, and one of us will there'll be like a dull moment, and one of us will just say, Archimedes, help. And it's just, we quote it a lot, but I couldn't tell you.
I think part of the reason why I'm like disappointed in this is because I see the potential in what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Because even you just mentioned the bird thing, and that immediately made me think of the multiple places in the movie where the theme is kind of predator and prey. And overall, I think like if you had to sum up what the point of the movie is it's kind of like, which is really hard because it story-wise doesn't drive the theme home, but the whole like might versus right, from the very beginning, the point of the story is kind of that the King of England is going to be a person. It's a bloodline. It's a lineage. It's it's a thing. It's not like the sword isn't like Mjolnir where you have to be worthy to pull it out. It's just whoever pulls the sword out, that's who's the King of England, and it's based on bloodlines. And then you have the whole like, well, they're going to have a tournament or like a competition of, who's the strongest and all this stuff. And that means nothing at the end of the day. But yet the whole lead up to that is like Merlin, even the Madame Mim or whatever her name is, every single creature that she picked is a predator, and every single creature that Merlin picked, his whole point about thinking stuff through, you got to outsmart them with wits, not brawn. It's brains versus brawn kind of sort of a thing. And there's a lot of those like thematically, brain versus brawn, might versus right, predator versus prey. There's a lot of those comparative things, and then it just never goes anywhere. Like they never make a point about that. There's no lesson to be learned from it. Even at the end, like I kind of wish that they had maybe like continued the story of Arthur, because like now that he's king, how does he become the King Arthur of the Round Table that everybody knows as like the wise, just king that brought peace to the land and everything, by getting counsel from all of his knights and all of the people and everything. And it's just like none of that is in there.
Yeah.
And I have to feel like that's because of, I blame Roy Disney. Yeah. He's the reason this movie is not leaps and bounds better than it could have been.
Yeah. I mean, I blame Bob Iger. I don't know. Can we just keep going through the?
Yeah. I know, because to me it just seemed like the majority of the movie is just kind of like, hey, what if, wouldn't that be cool if? But like, there's
and
no
it's
like,
fun.
there's no
it's
like
such a fun
arc.
movie.
Yeah.
I've
always wanted to be able to take all of my things and put them in a bag.
Oh my God. When that happened, I was legitimately like, that would be so useful.
Right.
And I love how Arthur says, wow, that's that's a quite a way to pack or something like that. And he's like, how else would you fit everything in this? And I was just like,
Right.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of those like powers that I would totally take, even with all the stuff that has to happen to make that work. You know, like
yeah,
if it was just like a power, you snap your fingers and everything is miniaturized in your bag. That's nowhere near as fun as all the stuff like dancing, or like when they're doing the dishes and he gets like caught up in the the tub or whatever. Like, give me all of that. I want.
I was
all
thinking
of that.
the sugar just he keeps going.
Right.
It's like when.
Actually, I will say that is the best part of the Blu-ray. I hate to say it, is the loading screen is just the sugar, just pouring sugar into the cup over and over and over while it's loading the DVD or the Blu-ray.
That's something I miss occasionally. Are
That's
like
the only thing I liked.
Good menus on because like everything now just bland, boring, straight to the point. Very little, if any, animation. You know, it's like a still image, and it's like a quiet place. Hit play, special features. It's like this is nothing. Like this is boring. I miss the days.
You're cutting to the core of me. You're cutting to the core of me.
Yeah, Derek has been making a video about that.
Yeah, I've been trying to make a video about DVD menus, and all of them suck now. Like none of the Blu-rays match what the other ones are, and I don't really have that many just DVDs anymore, because I've replaced them all with Blu-rays at this point, and I gave away or you know, donated all the old ones.
Yeah.
And so now like I don't even have anything to source the menus from. So I've like had to resort to going on YouTube and trying to find like people who literally just recorded the menu sitting there and then going through each of the menu options. Like it's really hard to source any DVD menu content, and I miss it so much. I miss it so much.
The one I always think of is Final Destination, that would have like little lines in between that is like Tony Todd saying like you have to follow the signs or whatever. And I miss those. I miss
Memento's my favorite.
Yes, yeah. I also miss like there were and this comes from like kind of like my home theater background, but they used to have trailers on DVDs that were in like Dolby Digital 5.1 or even DTS. And it was so cool to have these kind of full, like not theatrical mixes, but like something that was like a quick demo that you could just put on instead of like, let me go show you my favorite scene from Ready Player One or whatever. I don't know why it's turned into kind of John C. Reilly there for a second. I don't. But there was one on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre DVD that was in 5.1, and there was a part in there where like the screen went black, and like you could hear like Leatherface like walking around the room, you know, and like some like girl breathing like in like over here like she was trapped or something, and then you just hear the chainsaw, like it went quiet, and then you would hear the chainsaw start up, and I was like, this is so cool. And then the Blu-ray came out and it's just in like stereo. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I was like, just give us the 5.1. But yeah, I miss like they don't put any effort into that anymore. I mean, I when I was in film school from 2006 to 2010, I had like 2 whole classes on like designing DVD menus and how to like make animations work and stuff. And they don't even make the software anymore. Like for that I use is DVD Studio Pro. And that's like, yeah, if you want to get it, okay, I got my disc somewhere, I guess.
I used to do that too. I mean, in hindsight, I think I told Elon about this a couple times in college and high school. I used to get like Netflix, where they'd literally send you the DVD in the mail, and I would rip it and then make menus for the movies. Like I just, ripped the stuff that I liked off of it and then like made my own versions of them. And I think I used DVD Studio Pro also. There's a couple different apps that I would like bounce around doing them. And I think that's the most disappointing thing to me about these Blu-ray releases is like Blu-ray had so many more menu capabilities, and it even introduced the idea of a pop-up menu so that like while you're watching the movie, you could get a little pop-up that would give you alternate scenes and stuff. I mean, they literally expanded on the technical aspects of DVD menus in every single way. And then nobody did anything with. I mean, there were probably a couple early Blu-rays that did,
Do
but
you remember BD Live?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, obviously it's catering towards, nerds like us who want to
Yeah.
know about the behind the scenes and stuff, but
Yeah.
that was cool. Like VH1 pop-up video where it would like pop up with certain facts about the movie as you're watching it. Like that's cool to me.
The only thing I didn't like about BD Live is that you had to have the internet connection.
Yeah.
And usually that meant it would try to auto update your player, which I used a hacked player for quite a while so that I could do like region free play back and stuff like that. And it would try to mess with that every single time it didn't update.
I mean, I think everyone can agree that region free was stupid, and thankfully we don't deal a lot with that with like 4K Blu-rays, But one of the things I know we're like
region free wasn't stupid. It was the regioning that was stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. The whole region. Like, are you A, B, or C, or J, or whatever? Who knows?
That's so stupid.
But yeah, one of the things that I always liked, and I only had a couple discs that had it, was the like multiple angle selections that you could have.
Oh yeah,
I had a couple of Metallica concerts on DVD, and like you could switch, and basically you could just select which like person in the band you wanted to watch the whole time for it wasn't on every song, but it was like these 3 songs you can watch Lars or Kirk or Jason or James or whoever or you just go back to the original. I always thought that was cool and that it wasn't utilized enough. But I don't know how you utilize that in a movie, like unless you were trying to do like a choose your own adventure thing, which they did have discs like that where you could, because it was all like seamless branching, which was another thing like discs now still have. It's like, which version do you want to watch? And they'll just selectively like play the sections that you want to play.
So I have seen some Blu-rays use that for alternate takes. One specifically that I'm thinking of is Fight Club. There was an early Fight Club Blu-ray that had angle support. And what was cool about it is the pop-up menu would pop up from the side and it would have the thumbnails, but they were video thumbnails. So you could kind of just have the menu there, watch the original movie, but kind of see what the outtakes or, the alternate takes were for specific scenes.
Yeah.
And then I've also seen it used for storyboarded versions of the movie where you can watch the storyboard or the animatic instead of the final version to kind of see how they compare, because at least on a Blu-ray it's not like DVD where it has to go back to a different title to load that stuff. On a Blu-ray it's completely seamless. You can swap back and forth between the angles instantaneously. There's not like certain segments that you have to switch. So yeah, I've seen it for alternate takes and for deleted scenes and storyboards and stuff like that. But again, not much. I honestly, other than Fight Club, can't really think of a movie off the top of my head that either still has that or that had it from back in the day.
You see, like, again, I'm really enjoying this tangent that we're going on, and I'm going to go even deeper because that's what we do, folks. I just really like streaming really did just mess everything up, because back in the day when DVD menus, they put so much more effort into them. They put so much more money into them to be able to create more, kind of flashy intros and stuff.
Yeah.
But also like just the technology, because back in the day, to have home entertainment, physical media was the only way you could do that.
Right.
So yeah, of course they're going to spend more money on DVD menus when that's literally the only way you can get it into people's homes. So there was a reason to put that much more effort into it. And then, I mean, just think about it. Like if it stayed that way, if streaming platforms never became a thing and it was physical media only, even up until 2026, I imagine there could be just insane technological advances as far as like interactivity while you watch something, and menus, and just somehow have it intertwined with the internet, so then you could have this happen with this, or or have watch parties and, you know, that kind of thing. Like there's a whole, you know, that's like a whole can of worms that you could open as far as
See,
the
I don't blame streaming for
possibilities.
that. I don't blame streaming for that. Do you guys remember DivX?
Oh yeah.
Oh
As a
yes.
technology that the discs that you were basically kind of like a rental or whatever. The biggest thing that came from DivX was that the media companies, the publishers, got data from how people watched those discs because you could see what parts of the disc people watching it. It phoned home for literally nearly everything that was on the disc. I blame that. I mean that's the start, but ultimately it's you know, and this is just going to be another one of my rants for a little bit, but I blame the business guys, the execs that were involved in that, because and the only reason I say that is because if you look at Netflix, you ever see the Black Mirror episode Bandersnatch?
No.
Are you familiar with the show Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Okay, so Black Mirror, you know, is a show commentary on technology and stuff like that, and they released a special episode of the show. It wasn't part of a season; it was just one episode, and it was a completely interactive episode of the show. You used your TV controller or your Netflix, you know, media box controller or whatever, and you could literally make decisions for the main character, and it would play different scenes to the point where you could get a completely different episode from another person depending on what you did. I think that there was like 25 different endings that you could get for this Bandersnatch episode. So it's not like the will to make cool interactive movies or to make cool interactive experiences wasn't there.
Right.
It's that they released that, it cost them a ton of money, and then what ended up happening is a vast majority of people couldn't play that episode because their television, their smart TV that they were watching Netflix on, did not have the technical capability to be able to do their multi thing or whatever. And I honestly think that is if you look at where it went from DivX to inevitably streaming, that's, I think, where all of that got cut out. Is you had all these companies that in a race to the bottom tried to make the cheapest Blu-ray player, the cheapest TV, the cheapest whatever, and then you don't have the standardization that you had with like early DVD and Blu-ray, where when somebody bought your disc that had cool menus and all these interactive experiences, you knew that they could play them.
Yeah.
You knew for a fact that everybody who bought this disc could play them because the tech that was on the disc was standardized. And I think that's where streaming kind of cannibalized that industry a little bit. The bean counters, the execs realized that, hey, a lot of people aren't using this technology that we're spending the money on, so let's save that money by not doing any of it. And then obviously it's kind of like what is it, the self-referential, you know, it's like there's a bias that's called, you know, self-selection bias or whatever, where when you only see people that are watching the non-interactive version of your movie or that aren't using the menus in your Blu-ray, that those are the ones you should cater to because they make up the majority of your viewers. But what they didn't realize is that, like, per viewer, people who bought physical media spent way more money over the lifetime of those purchases. Those people are the ones that kind of sustain that industry. And now, you know, like you mentioned at the beginning of this, why do you think they're going back to that live TV model? Why do you think they're going back to ads? Why do you think that they've essentially recreated the cable TV model, but disparately? It's because that was the model that worked back in the day. They tried to innovate, and the bean counters just brought them right back because it doesn't make as much money.
Yeah.
And now that's where we are.
So sad.
It is. It is very sad. Very sad.
Man, I had a thought as you were talking, but then it went away. So
probably because I talked too long. Sorry.
I'm beating myself up about it. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. I know this is supposed to be about Sword in the Stone, but
the tangent is strong with this one.
Yeah. But I mean, this is how it normally goes. So this is why people need to tell their friends about this podcast, because even
Vote
though
with your wallet, buy movies.
Even though the thumbnail shows sword in the shows Arthur and his, pulling out the sword from the stone, it's inevitably not going to be all about that. So,
well, it's funny because metaphorically, that's kind of what we need. Is we need one of these companies to come in and be the company that pulls the sword from the stone, and it's just like, yo, remember how cool this stuff used to be? Remember how much like artistic creativity went into these things? It wasn't just the movie that was creative. It was everything about it that was creative. And we do kind of see it because like the Alice in Wonderland 4K, that's a really, really nice remastered version of the movie. The supplemental features on it are really, really nice. There's a lot of thought that they put into it. There's a lot of care that put into it. And especially if you love movies and you have your favorites, like those are awesome things to have about these movies. I wish this had like a behind the scenes. I want to see the arguments between Bill Pete and Wolfie, I forget what his name is, the director, the guy that directed like all these. I mean, he's literally responsible for all the Disney animated movies from that time.
Reitherman, Wolfgang Reitherman.
Yes,
Reitherman. Yeah.
I want to see all that stuff. Like I want to know about that stuff. And the crazy thing to me is that Disney released that, they had like 100-year anniversary collection of some of their old movies. And even those barely have like the special features that some of these other ones have.
Yeah. And what's wild is if you've watched if people have watched like the Imagineering Story on Disney Plus or something like that, you can see they filmed a lot of stuff back in the day. Now, I'm not saying they had just cameras going 24/7, because back in the day they were probably shooting on 8mm or 16mm, and it wasn't feasible to do that. But like, pivotal moments, I'm sure there are some behind the scenes stuff somewhere of Sword in the Stone, just like
even photographs. Ken Burns,
photographs.
In this book, I'm gonna pull some of these up because they're cool.
I was going to say really quick, I thought that it was because I was looking up the cast on IMDb afterwards, and Jack Albertson was Knight in Crowd #1, who, if you're not familiar with who that is, you're like, I don't know that name. That's Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, yeah.
So he voices a very quick, like, thing in here. It's like, okay. And then he goes on to be in the Poseidon Adventure. Poseidon? Can never say that word right. Poseidon Adventure with Gene Hackman. And there are a lot of like little tidbits about the movie itself that I would like to have seen like covered like behind the scenes, because I just think it's like it's definitely interesting that we get the final result. And I feel like, sometimes things get lost in the final result. You don't, I mean, we all know about like the big blow ups on certain sets and stuff like that. But like at some point down the road, that kind of just becomes like, okay, we don't know about that anymore. We don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, like this is, this movie's from 1963.
Right.
Alice was 51, so like 75 years ago there, and then it's such a long time ago that I'm also very interested in just seeing their whole process of how they did things and how they worked in that environment things.
Look at this. Look at all these sketches of Madame Mim.
Wow.
It's not doing it because of my filter or whatever, my blurry filter, but like there's so much behind the scenes stuff that they have just in the drawings and pictures themselves.
Yeah.
What
films does that book cover?
All of the animated stuff from 1927 all the way till let me get the exact dates, but it's all of them. Because these guys, the authors are Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston. They worked on all of those movies in some way, shape, or form.
Dang! Wow!
Wow!
Yeah, and it really, like, what's nice is the book itself is not really so much of like this is how they did it. It's more of like a kind of a chronicle of the kind of the thought process behind how they made these movies, more so than the technical how they did it, you know, like why they made certain decisions that they did, what were the goals of like bringing characters to life, why they animate on every 2 frames, you know, stuff like that. It's a really cool book. It's a really cool book, and it kind of cheats some of the secrets as to what makes, I think, Disney animation more unique than other animation styles. Like there's a ton of it in there.
Sorry, plug the book again. What is it called?
It's called The Illusion of Life, Disney Animation by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston.
Frank Thomas, who played on the White Sox in the 90s?
Yes, no, the other Frank Thomas.
He is multi-talented.
Who?
Okay. Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank. Yeah, I had something else I was gonna say, and just not there anymore.
That train left the station.
Yeah.
My fault again. Sorry.
No. That's not your fault at all, Derek. Yalin. Dreek and Yalin. That's what you guys should go by now. I mean, overall, I still love this movie. It's definitely like flawed. It's not perfect in any way, really. But I mean, just like the amount of times that I've quoted it or remembered scenes from it is probably more than any Disney animated film. I always think of the was it the coyote or the that's following the wolf?
The wolf.
Yeah, he's following Wart and Merlin, and he like goes up the thing and he's like all out of breath. Like I can literally hear that in my head when I'm like running sometimes. That scene, and it's funny. Like I don't know.
Yeah, the silver lining for me is, I mean, it was part of this whole Xerox era with Disney animation, but I will say I was really impressed with one particular fairly extended shot of when they're walking along the stream or the creek or whatever, and all of a sudden, the image pans down to the water and all you see is the reflection. Then it continues to follow them by only showing you their reflection. I was like, they didn't have to do that, but they did. And it was really cool. It looked beautiful.
The funny thing about that is I think that the way that they did that shot is the reverse of the rest of the movie. Because if you'll notice, the colors in the water have none of the pencil outlines. So I think that the water was animated the same way, upside down. They colored it in, and then they just removed the pencil marks to get that water. There's another shot that's like that too. I actually noticed, I have notes. I noticed a bunch of little cool things that I thought, again, so frustrating. Merlin wears BVD underwear. Did anybody else notice that? I thought that was pretty funny. I actually thought Merlin and Arthur's voice actors were the best part of the movie. They were really, really, really good. But Merlin flexing with the threats, I thought was hilarious. the various different ways he threatens Mim and a couple other people. I also saw that there are a ton of like connections to Alice in Wonderland. The walrus was probably the big one that I noticed, because that's
the dad
animation style similar.
Well, the dad is the same voice too. The walrus and the dad's voice are both the same.
The model for Fish Arthur is Flounder from Little Mermaid. It's the same body for the fish, which is really, really cool. Merlin also wears Converse All Stars. which I thought was really awesome.
He is a time traveler.
He is.
He totally is. He's
knows
got to
that
be.
style.
He's got to be. Shoot, I didn't make a note of when the other shot was. It might have been in the dishwashing scene, but there's like another scene where they have like a reflection or something that used that same style. Damn.
Also, the whole the showdown with Merlin and Madame Mim, and how they're transforming into all these different things, but they all have their original like characteristics. So what I thought that was really cool. They actually mentioned in the IMDb trivia about that because it was like kind of a big deal at the time. That, like, you immediately knew that oh, this was Madame Mim or this was Merlin. I just thought it was cool. Like, they just
even the squirrels, like when Merlin's got the little like mustache and the thing, and Arthur even looks like himself. I mean, it's really cool that they could maintain that character consistency throughout the whole movie.
I like how Merlin, even when he's a fish, has glasses.
Right.
It's pretty cute.
I've always thought about like growing a beard, but then I see that scene in the movie where he gets it caught on something or like he curls up and it's like, I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. Because that's real.
A lot of stuff. Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a fun movie. Yeah, but it just doesn't really have like an overall story arc of any any degree, really. It's just let's have fun.
And I think even like going back to Alice in Wonderland, that it's so funny because we're sitting here in 2026 critiquing these movies as grown adults when they were released in the 50s and 60s children. Like they were designed like, and I think that's like, if you watch movies from way back in the day, even like the 80s and stuff, everything that we have now out there is kind of like, oh, this has to have a message or some type of positive, it's like, this character goes through this arc and they come out and they're better and all this stuff. It's like there was kind of none of that most of the time in kids films. So not in all kids films, but it was just like, hey, here's some fun shit that we're going to take you through and what we think is fun, which is weird when you think about it. Adults made this stuff for kids and they're like, we think this is fun. They got it most of the time. Sometimes they didn't.
See, that's weird to me because I do think Alice in Wonderland has a point. And like I said before, I think Sword in the Stone had a point that it was trying to get to. It's trying, the adults making the movies are trying to say something in the making of these movies. I just don't know how successful they were with that. For Alice in Wonderland, I think that the point that they're trying to make in that is the difference in what a kid's version of the world looks like versus what an adult's version of the world looks like, and what that transition is like. Alice imagines a world that doesn't bend to anybody's whims except for her own, and that's topsy-turvy. But then when she actually gets put in that world, she's constantly under threat, constantly confused, can't, make sense of anything, and desperately wants to go back home to the world that had order and all the stuff that she was complaining about at the beginning of the movie. And this one, again, I think is trying to make the point of might versus right, and like where you are on the the chopping block or where you are on the ladder of life doesn't necessarily set you in that place. Merlin's constantly saying that you can make yourself better than you are. And I think that's the point it was trying to get. It's just that the story doesn't really, hold up for it. Jungle Book has some morals or some themes that are in there too. I don't know.
Antagonists.
Yeah. And most of the antagonists are, direct mirrors of the main characters. There's like reasons why those antagonists exist. And also, I mean, I think a lot of the Disney movies that have that, because they're based on fairy tales, kind of have that structure baked in. Whereas like Sword in the Stone is a story that didn't really have that. Again, the author didn't even finish the book when it was released. It was almost 2 decades after that he started to like change up what the point of the story even was. So it's like, Even he didn't know what he was trying to go after.
Damn.
Crazy, man.
I think they're deeper than most people give them credit for, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I disagree. I think they're all, no, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
I don't know. Like, I don't know if these, I don't know. It's, I'd have to like put more thought into it. I don't think about this stuff until I'm on here, guys. Come on.
Well, and who knows? You know, like, for all we know, Alice in Wonderland, they were all just stoned, and that's the result of it. You know, like, hey, this seems like a fun acid trip or whatever. You know, this dude was high and was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you knew like a wizard? Like, if you had like a buddy that was a wizard, what would you do with your buddy?
I'd be a fish, man.
I want to be a fish.
I want to be a squirrel.
Fish.
Fly around like a bird, man.
Yeah, bro. Then Brad's like, bro, you think that squirrel's looking at me? You think she's into this?
I'm into it. She's into it.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's honestly all that I have. Because I could probably come up with another tangent if I wanted to, but we can save that for next time.
Yeah.
I'm really curious how people rank, and maybe I should look this up because I'm sure IMDb has a ranking of some sort. I'm curious how people rank that like era of Disney movies. Chat, how do you rank the Disney movies? Do you guys rank Alice in Wonderland higher than Sword in the Stone, higher than Jungle Book? What are your favorites?
Yeah, and like, do you consider, you know, the what is it called, the Renaissance era with Little Mermaid and Lion King? Do you consider that? I mean, I have a special soft spot for those, you know, personally, just because I was a kid when they came out.
Yeah.
So I will always look at those as like, you know, shaping my childhood. Not just because they were some of the most successful animations of all time for Disney.
I would like to talk about those in the future too, because like, I think I would agree with you. I think that Renaissance period is awesome, but some of that might be my nostalgia. But I also think that like on a technical level, on an artistic level, on a comedic acting, you know, music level, they're also really, 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 really strong.
Yeah.
So like, I know there's some nostalgia in there, but I think also a lot of people could probably say that there's objectively like really, really great things about those movies. A goofy movie. Cinco says a goofy movie.
That one holds up, man. That one's actually a silent killer, man. It's a good one. I haven't seen it in a while, but
also way deeper than I think most people give it credit for.
Yeah.
I know it's called a goofy movie, but it's not all that goofy when you...
It's not all that goofy.
Oh, Pete's Dragon. I forgot about Pete's Dragon. I honestly didn't even think about Pete's Dragon until they did that live action version of it or whatever.
Where the dragon was CGI.
Yeah, which I don't even remember if I saw that one.
Yeah, I've never seen that one. But yeah, that was a cool Disney era too, where they had animation mixed in with live action.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they were going to. That was kind of like the start of Disney trying to get into the live action stuff.
Yeah.
Kadur Dima, Lion King, Aladdin are the best era. Alice in Wonderland, second best era for me. Dima, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? Did you grow up with Lion King, Aladdin, or did you?
I wonder if 89 is their birthday. You know, 2289. I don't know. Maybe. If we go off of that, then they are
February 2nd, 1989.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. I could see that. That's a lot of people's favorite era. I also think like it depends how old. It definitely depends how old you are. You know, like if you're born in the 60s or 70s,
40s, okay.
You know, My wife's a bit older than I am, so like she grew up watching different movies for the most part, and has different reactions and different nostalgia than I do about, especially about Disney in general. Like growing up, I was not big on Disney, going to the Disney parks, and there are various reasons for that, which we don't have a few hours to dive into Brad's therapy.
I never got to go either, Brad. In fact,
no, I got to go. It just was not a good.
Oh,
yeah. We'll just say that. We'll say that.
Actually, you know what I just thought of? Maybe that's why I don't like this movie. The only time I ever got to go to Disney World in Florida as a kid, we got 0 autographs except for one, Chip from Chip and Dale. And the only other person, we stood in line to see Merlin to get our book signed, to do the whole thing where you try to pull the sword out. Merlin was standing there and signing people's autographs. We literally got right to the sword. And then his little hourglass thing started going off. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, kids, we got to go. So we never got Merlin's autograph. I wonder if that has tainted my view of this movie.
Probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just subconsciously.
That can happen.
Now this is therapy. Now it's risen back up. And now you're feeling those same emotions.
I completely forgot about that. Anyway, sorry, Brad, you were saying.
No, that was all I had. Yeah.
See, and I wonder, because now what I'm seeing more and more that didn't really happen back then, like my parents, I'm sure my parents like Aladdin and like Little Mermaid. They had to have seen it while we were watching it as kids, but they didn't put those movies on for us because they liked them or they were like particularly Disney fans. We were really driving most of like what that was, the stuff that we were watching. But what I'm seeing more and more nowadays is parents who love these movies, like introducing them to their kids, and then their kids are now kind of like in that pipeline as well. You know, so like our movies, Aladdin and those, I think are getting a little bit of a generational resurgence or like some generational buffering a little bit that didn't happen back then. You know, like my parents didn't show me Sleeping Beauty and weren't like, this is the best movie of my childhood.
I know. Mine neither.
You know,
I wonder if it's also just because of accessibility and like, you know,
I'm sure
in the 80s and 90s, it was, especially because of Disney's vault, it was just a lot harder to get your hands on their titles. So
don't get me started on that.
Do we need a separate stream just about the vault?
Yeah,
at least a video. We can make a video on the vault.
We can make a video just about how
genuinely infuriating,
and it's all about money. That's all it's about. It's not. It's about them controlling supply and demand. It's that's all.
I guess that's one good thing that came from streaming is that it got rid of the vault.
No,
it just changed the name of it because now they have 4K gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And now, like, I want to see more. I was just thinking about this too as we're talking about, you know, how Sword in the Stone isn't exactly A-tier Disney animation. It's kind of the middle child. There's a lot of Disney movies that have never had physical releases, that have either been, you know, Disney Channel original movies or maybe they had a physical release, but it was only on VHS when it first came out or something. And there's a movie that I like. This is an animation, but there's a movie that I've been looking for forever. You can find it on YouTube, but I want a better quality version of it. And it's something I grew up watching. No, there's actually, I have that on DVD actually. There's a movie that I grew up watching and it was on Disney Channel. There's a whole history behind it. It was called The Paper Brigade. And it actually is about a kid who like moves to his town and takes over a paper route. And like, he's got to like, there's like just crazy shit that happens. Right. But like you can't find it anywhere. And there was like Robert Englund is in it, you know, Freddy Krueger, like the actor who played Freddy Krueger. And he is actually talked about, they shot a completely different movie for HBO or Cinemax or something like that. And then Disney bought the rights and edited it into a PG version.
Oh,
it's like, there's some crazy stuff they filmed that just nobody's ever seen. And I'm like, man, I want to see that version. So yeah, I would love to see stuff like that, or not even that version, but just a higher quality version of the movies that I grew up watching outside of just their animated catalog. They have things that are on there, but like, you know, like Mr. Boogedy, which is a classic Halloween movie that I grew up watching, and that it was literally the first movie my wife and I ever talked about while we were at work. I was training her on something, and I was like, nobody I know has ever heard of Mr. Boogedy.
Training her on Mr. Boogedy.
Hey, whoa. Whoa. Okay, this is not OnlyFans. This is
the Paper Brigade 1996.
Yep. Gunther.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's got some crazy. It's still a good movie, and you know, I think it will probably. Let me rephrase. It was a good movie the way I remember it, but watching it now, I'm not sure. I don't know if I would say the same thing, because there are things that I watched.
You said it was on Disney Channel, so you had it on Disney Channel.
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was a Disney movie, like or at least it was like Disney owned.
Okay.
And I didn't have
Disney Plus. We didn't have cable when I was growing up, so I was stuck with like My Pet Monster and like the stuff they would show on PBS or on, you know, our local TV stations.
You watch the movie Frog with Shelley Duvall numerous times, and you're like, wow,
maybe.
okay.
I don't even remember that one either.
Anywho, Gunther and it had the kid who played Squints from The Sandlot in it.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently you can get a DVD on Amazon of it for $30.
Oh really?
Gunther and the Paper Brigade. Only one left in stock. Order soon.
Oh, I didn't even know that you could get that. I'm ordering it right now.
Do it.
No, I'm not. I don't buy physical media.
How dare you?
Now.
Gunther, the Paper Brigade.
You guys ever heard of the never-released Thief and the Cobbler? There's an insane backstory. Check it out. Hand animated at 24 frames per second, and it looks amazing. Thief and the Cobbler. No.
I'm definitely checking that out. I love that kind of stuff.
Thief and...
Oh, but not a Disney movie. This is Williams Animation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it kind of looks like Anastasia.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's the same team.
Oh wow. Thief and the Cobbler. Wow.
All right.
Apparently, there's a recobbled cut on YouTube. Huh. Remastered and extended. Wow. You can get all kinds of stuff.
I don't know about you guys, but I want a 4K version of Three Ninjas.
I'm learning so much about Roy Disney in watching these movies.
Yeah.
That he was a dumbass.
He seems like the business guy that ruined the Disney, I don't know, trajectory, I guess. But at the same time, that led to other stuff. So I can't, it's like one of those bittersweet things. I can't complain about what he did because it led to things that I really, really love. But at the same time, that's actually one of the things that I think is really funny about Bill Peet is he's so bitter. The guy that wrote Sword in the Stone, he's so bitter about the Disney thing that he just like trash talks everybody all the time, all the animators from Disney at the time. He trash talks them all. And then he talks about how like Walt Disney himself could not draw at all. So like, apparently the Walt Disney signature that everybody knows was not Walt Disney didn't make that. He like scribbled it on a piece of paper and some other artist was like, okay, how can we make this prettier? So it's like in general, it kind of looks like Disney's signature, but it was prettied up by an artist.
Well, yeah, I mean, have you seen all the images of him? I think they talked about this in the Imagineering story, maybe of where they photoshopped out like Walt holding a cigarette.
No.
If you see a lot of the pictures where he's pointing at something with his two fingers like that, it's like someone they removed. Well, they didn't even Photoshop it. I mean, this was well before Photoshop, but they didn't want to have that
airbrushed
image.
or something.
Yeah, they don't want to have that image there. So like, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow,
crazy.
All right, well, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Yeah, this was fun. I wish that we could see what this movie could have been too, because I would love to know how that compared.
Yeah. Next week is Moonlight, right?
Yes.
Yeah, next week is Moonlight. Although, I may, if we have it next Tuesday, I will not be able to attend. But that's totally fine. That is up to you two if you want to do Moonlight, the two of you, or we can reschedule it for Monday or Wednesday. I don't know. So I'll keep you up to date with the newsletter, those of you watching and listening. So yeah, Moonlight is next week. The Academy Award winning Moonlight.
And then in August we have Fifth Element, right? Did we settle on Fifth Element?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, go see Fifth Element in the theaters if you can at the end of this month. I think at least here in my theater, it's playing the 24th and the 27th of July. So check your local listings, see if you can see the Fifth Element in all its glory on the big screen.
And if you can't, get it on disc.
Disc. I do happen to own that on disc myself.
I also own that
so
on disc.
I'll just pop that in before that one. Yeah. Cool. All right, gentlemen. It's been real. Thanks for joining everybody who did join.
Duppy requests your presence.
I'd like your participation, Elon, if possible, because of your music background. The score is stellar.
Yeah.
Oh, for Princess and the Frog?
No, for Moonlight.
I mean, it is pretty good.
We can reschedule. We'll watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Derek and I, next week. And
hey, I would be down for that. I do want to watch Moonlight though, because I've never seen Moonlight. And I've heard so many things about it.
Even if I can't attend the stream, I still want to watch it.
Well, and we can maybe pick a different day of the week. You know, it'll be a one-off, and then we go back to our regularly scheduled programming. But
our regularly scheduled
we'll figure something out. We can't do it without you.
Yes.
And which, by the way, thank you, Brad, for joining us on Double Take and making it Double Take. I enjoyed this conversation.
It was only because I liked the movie and not you guys. So we could. It's terrible.
No,
it was fun.
You need to have a defender. You got to balance it out, man.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have
to balance it out.
Exactly. So. All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. See you next week for Moonlight. And as a final send-off, you can't triple stamp a double stamp.